We are about to be given an indication to start. Welcome to Walter Sisulu University. My name is Albert Tembingosi Modi. I am the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Natural Sciences. I'm standing here on behalf of the leadership and management of the university with the mandate of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Songa, and the executive team. They gave me and my team this mandate to test the tenacity of the Walter Sisulu University vision, to test whether or not what we write, what we say, and what we speak is something that we can do and make it a legacy. I welcome our special guests. I'm not going to go through everyone, but most importantly, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Teaching and Learning is here. He is a person who is very excited about food security. I'm not going to speak for her. You will see when she speaks. The executive deans are here from health sciences, economics, natural sciences, education, law and humanities. They are all here. We've got the managers who are coming from the different directorates of the university. I'm here to welcome you and our guests who are coming from the NGOs, the NPOs, the government. Many are here and many are joining us online. We are watched by the Senate of the university everywhere, here and online. We are watched by the people of South Africa, the people of the Eastern Cape, and the people of the world. Today is the 16th of October, 2024. It is a day to celebrate the sadness of poverty that has led to food insecurity in the world. It is a day that has been agreed upon by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations as the one that is going to remind everybody in the world that millions of people in the world, about a third of the population, is suffering from food insecurity. It is a day for us to assist the government of South Africa to remember that 66% of South Africans are suffering from severe food insecurity. It is a day for us to assist the government of South Africa to remember that some 70% of the people of the Eastern Cape live below poverty line. We are reminded by the leadership of this university, the Vice Chancellor, that we are a university. Our plan for today is a plan for the university that has a mandate to deliver knowledge, skills, and innovation. we agreed that we will work together as faculties. The students of this university in the leadership, referred to as the SRC, agreed to be part of the organizing committee and make this day a success. I want to thank them. You will see them, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time giving their CVs to you. They are the leaders. Our Vice Chancellor says we must refer to our students as our children. We want future leaders. The world is deteriorating. Accusations go to young people as the ones who are not listening, as the ones who are not taking the baton. Thank you very much. I want to thank the speakers. You will see them. They will announce themselves as they come. I'm not also going to go through their CVs. And now I want to invite one of these organizing committee members, leaders, the chairperson of SRC on this campus, Mthatha campus, where we've got NMD and Zamu Kulungisa. Come forward, chairperson, and welcome us.
Thank you very much, Dean. My name is Afigile Makupeni, the Faculty Coordinator of Law, Humanities and Social Sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, advocates for food security, I welcome you on this prestige day. It is a privilege and an honor to stand before you guys today and make this speech about our program. It has been very insightful. It has been very documentary and knowledgeable experience. Today we recognize not just a sustenance that nourishes our body, but also the diverse tapestry of cultural heritage, from Indian spices to Mediterranean salads. This program today will teach us more to nourish the food that we have, to actually stretch the rand and actually buy more nutritious food with the little that we have, because the scarcity of food today is just surprising, and it is very scary that we cannot actually lock down the food that we have today. As we progress today in today's event, workshop, panels, CCA dialogues, I want us all to remember that the importance of food is a much greater thing that we have to endorse in this planet, and we actually have to save food. So nervous. Today, we have 5 faculties today that will be competing against each other. Yesterday, it was just a fun run for them buying food, actually showing us how to stretch their rands. They were given 100 rand to actually stretch the rand and buy nutritious food. And thank you very much. Hashtag stretch my rand.
Hashtag stretch my rent. I didn't want it to be said by me for the first time. We have a government that is supporting our students in our universities. We have a large number of students who are now able to go to varsity because this government is giving them NSFAS. But this NSFAS has got to be stretched. Poor people who are getting government grants, they must stretch it. Be wise when you buy food. That is the message. The competition today among the faculties is, are you able to be a visionary, a thinker, an innovator, and a creative person who can buy food that has got all the components that can be defined as nutritious food? Now, it is my honor to call to the podium our Deputy Vice Chancellor for Teaching and Learning, Professor Lennington, to address us.
Thank you, Professor Mordi, and thank you to the SRC. Good morning. There we go. Nope. There we go. All protocol observed. I have been involved in food security and insecurity and research since about 2006, and then I won't talk about myself after that, where we developed a food security program, a household food security program for community workers, so they would have skills to actually work with households in terms of food security. And it was developed through UNISA and SAIDI and Kellogg's. And if you go to SAIDI's website, that's SAIDE, you will still find it under their open educational resources. So I'm very passionate about food security. So this is something very close to my heart. And it's a very complex subject. I've learned over the years, you say food security, someone says agriculture. It's not agriculture. It's a lot of things. So so humans have an absolute need for three things without which they will die: oxygen, water, and food. You will die from a lack of oxygen under 10 minutes. A lack of water will cause death within a few days, while starvation will cause you to become weak in 30 to 50 days, and you will die between 43 to 70 days. But that is a total lack. So nutrition and food is not about having food, it's about having the right food and enough food. So malnutrition, which you'll see on the screen behind me, and this is from a UNICEF framework, is defined as a lack of proper nutrition caused by not having enough to eat, not eating enough of the right things, or being unable to use the food that one does not eat. So there's a whole lot of things that affects it, and we will discuss many of those. There's resources, there's politics, there's economic, and there's resources, and there's infrastructure, and there's resource control. Human and economic and organizational resources. So it's a very complex picture. My focus has always been in food securities on children, because they are the future, children and teenagers and young adults. They are the future. But children under 5 who don't get properly fed are damaged for life. And so when we say people are stunted, it means they cannot cognitively develop, and they are probably won't finish school, and highly likely will never go to university or college. And it affects the rest of their life, and we just create a poverty cycle that we can't break. So they really are the future and should be the focus of many of our food and nutrition interventions. Malnutrition in children leads to poor mental development and compromises their ability to lead a productive life. And children are vulnerable, and so they're actually protected in the Constitution, which tells them about their right to food. And Section 28 of the Constitution says everyone has the right to have access to healthcare, sufficient food and water, social security. I'm abbreviating slightly. And if they're unable to support themselves, their dependents or have a social assistance, then the government will look after them. However, it also states and it states it for children and for prisoners, because those are the two vulnerable people who do not control their own lives or under the care of others to a large extent. It says every child has the right to A, a name and nationality, B, to family care or parental care or appropriate alternative care, and C, to basic nutrition, shelter, basic health care services and social services, and D, to be protected from maltreatment, neglect, abuse, or degradation. And the last one is actually closely linked to their right to food, because there is a phenomenon called the slow violence. Over the past 2 decades, South Africa has adopted many policies to improve food and nutrition security of children. However, most indicators show disappointing results. Self-reported hunger by children has decreased, but there's still an exceptional amount of undernutrition and malnutrition, and it's exceptionally unexceptional in an upper middle class income country. We have one of the largest economies, but also one of the highest stunting levels in Africa compared to our neighbors. South Africa's child food and nutrition insecurity is linked to inequities that characterize the country and which must be addressed. They reflect a slow, hidden and cumulative violence against South Africa's children and South Africa's people that are hungry, that is in conflict with the country's Bill of Rights and Constitution. The term slow violence was originally introduced in terms of climate change and deforestation, and that it's slow so you don't see it, but it's a violence against the world and against humanity. But it was changed and adopted in South Africa as slow violence of hunger in children, because it's often is not seen and the consequences are far down the line, and the consequences are often invisible. So last night I discovered that the day before, which was the 14th of October, the HSRC had finally released a National Food and Nutrition Survey report, which they'd actually indicated in February this year that they had released, but was now released and launched on Monday. So I changed my speech completely last night, because data and the latest data is the most important thing. So their field workers visited more than 34,500 South African households in all 9 provinces. They conducted interviews in local language. They used questionnaires that were easily answerable, and they gathered information on a whole pile of things, including COVID-19, employment, education, food choices, etc. And one of the outcomes is what's called the Household Food Insecurity Access Score, which you're going to see in front of you. Blue means food secure. Green means moderately food insecure. Slightly food insecure. Orange is moderately, and red is severely food insecure. And those are percentages, and those are your provinces. What is good to see from this survey is 10 years ago, the Eastern Cape and Limpopo had the worst food insecurity. And obviously, due to a lot of interventions, that has decreased slightly in the severe side, although the food secure is still very low at 27 and 37. And these are very interesting, because we haven't had results that go down to provincial and municipal levels before. So in this index, there was a national average of 8.3 in terms of food security, which means that on average, South Africa is moderately food insecure. However, 17.5% of households indicated severe food insecurity. That means they had to cut back on the number of meals and the meal size consumed, and experienced running out of food, going to bed hungry, or going a whole day and night without eating. 27% of households were moderately food insecure, frequently consuming low-quality, undesirable food, while 20% were worried about not having enough food to eat and occasionally having to cut back. But that's the overall picture, and it becomes more interesting, and I hope people can see some of these things, but I'll speak to them. They also looked at what's called the Household Food Insecurity Access Scale, as well as the Household Hunger Scale, the Household Dietary Diversity Score, and the Food Consumption Score. In Northwest, you'll see from the first graph, 30% of households were severely insecure, but the worst is, and maybe I should just go back to that graph quickly, the worst is the Northern Cape, where over half of the households struggled with food security. No, that was the Northern Cape, sorry. Northern Cape, yes, Northern Cape. So the Household Dietary Diversity Score measured the number of food groups reportedly consumed by the household over 24 hours, which I thought, in light of Stretch My Rand, was important. On average, South Africans consumed 6 out of 12 groups, which isn't too bad, but showing some diversity. But however, there was over 15% were either consuming less than 4 or less than 3 food groups. The Consumer Consumption Score considered daily diversity, and nationally almost 18.6% of households had poor diets. And consumption of foods like fruits, pulses or your beans and your peas, nuts, eggs, fish and seafood was limited. And it varied drastically between differences, and as well as in districts. Then the researchers measured children to establish the wasting. And again, and this is the one that breaks my heart, if you look at stunting, and that is to a large extent permanent damage for indication of permanent damages. Western Cape, 46% of all children had stunting, Northern Cape 46%, Northwest 30%. Those numbers, ladies and gentlemen, are absolutely scary. Wasting is a bit less. Again, Northern Cape shows for children it's huge. Underweight, again, the Northern Cape is hugely affected. And then obese is also a food problem, is also there. So, friends, a third of our future population, and in some provinces it's actually half of our future population, are going to suffer from severe cognitive development programs because of inadequate food. And in a country that is regarded as moderate to middle income country, it's actually quite unacceptable. And I'd like to quote Nelson Mandela, who said, "A simple vote without food, shelter and healthcare is to use first-generation rights as a smokescreen to obscure the deep underlying forces which dehumanizes people. It is to create an appearance of equality and justice while by implication social economic inequality is entrenched. We do not want freedom without bread, nor do we want bread without freedom. We must provide for all the fundamental rights and freedoms associated with a democratic society." And I would suggest we have a very long way to go. But all those factors have been very interesting, but it's also interesting to note that gender has an effect. households who have men as the head of the household are more food secure than households that have women. And on top of that, female head households have a higher severe food insecurity. In terms of the Constitution, everyone is expected to obtain food through their own means, and the government's only expected to ensure the environment is favourable. Only when one cannot get food on their own does the government have to give them direct access. And there are 4 pillars for food security. The first is food availability, which is calls for an adequate of local supply so you can actually go buy it. The second is food accessibility, and that means you actually have the means to buy it when it's available, and that's highly linked to poverty, as well as to urban-rural differences. The rural villages often have to travel very far to go and get available food, and that travel costs money, so it decreases the amount of money they have to access food. So the food security is far worse in rural areas. The fourth is stability, which means access, availability, and utilization are stable, so that it doesn't fluctuate over the year. And the data shows that even in households that produce their own food, January, February is a very poor time of the year. So hunger's been increasing over the 2 decades across South Africa, and poverty remains one of the biggest challenges, and it's been exacerbated by malnutrition, gender inequalities, marginalization, and communicable diseases. So how is your right to food linked to other rights? The right to food is closely linked to other rights. To obtain food, you can produce it yourself through farming, fishing, or processing, or you can buy it. To produce food, you need, among other things, land, water, and protection from eviction. To buy food, you need access through earning money. Therefore, you must enjoy your rights to trade, work, and social assistance. It's also in the Constitution. To fish, you need access to water and dams and the sea. To have the right quality of food, you need to be educated about the nutritional value. And as far as I'm concerned, food's prices of those with a high nutritional value should really be cross-subsidized. In addition, the right to food is your right to dignity, which is violated when you have to become a beggar, so you have to eat. Your right to equality cannot be discriminated against. Therefore, your right to food is linked to the enjoyment of a whole range of rights, such as to land, social security, trade, work, water, education, eviction, protection, equality, dignity, and life. However, the right to food is not a charity, it's a right. A charity involves benevolence. The giver does not have an obligation. Therefore, a charitable approach to food means that hungry people are passive recipients of food parcels or cash for food from the government, civic groups, and individuals. And there's no moral, they're not morally compelled to do so, and this seriously undermines the dignity of the recipients of food. By contrast, as a right is something you're entitled to because you are a human being. It can be legally endorsed. When it's said that every person has a right to food, it means the state has an obligation to provide food to the hungry and the food insecure. Recognizing food as a right has the effect of restoring the respect and dignity of the poor who may be recipients of food parcels. This is so because they are entitled to such a food as a right. This helps us get rid of the perception that food insecurity is mainly caused by human beings themselves. Therefore, it starts on the premise that it is immoral for the government to do nothing when its people are dying of hunger and malnutrition. So, the high levels of undernutrition in children and obesity will cause a national disaster if they're not addressed, and it needs to be addressed by a food system approach, which I know someone is speaking to today. It was really interesting. They did, in 2015, they did a survey and a case study in Mount Frere looking at recipients of grants. And it's very clear that rural people have the burden of the electricity being insecure, the water sanitation, the amount they have to pay for transport to a local market or transport back, the interdependency of lending to each other, and the over-reliance on starch due to no other food being available. And that study has been published and is really of interesting reading. So, food security is terrible. We have a right to food, and we need to take that right. So what should we be done? And I'm going to take these from the HSRC report, but I'm going to add 2 of my own. And the solution to food security is not just the government, it's also communities, universities, as well as the private sector. So they first say promotion of domestic food. Remember, not all these solutions are possible. If you're living in certain places, you might not be able to. However, I have a huge passion about urban food production. You can use balconies, you can use a whole lot of hydroponics or other means. You can use black plastic bags on your doorstep to grow some of your own food if it's really possible. But that needs an investment and some work too as well. But so food production can also be urban, not just rural. Focusing on establishing food banks so that we can ensure that there's food throughout the year. Focus on employment creation, which I think is probably one of the biggest issues to solve food insecurity. Investment in food markets and food banks as well. Land distribution and restitution. But that also needs to come with a land use plan, so that when we provide food for agriculture, it is for agriculture. When we provide food for homes, it is for homes, and we don't confuse the two. Very important. Post-harvest processing, so that our food lasts longer, but it also adds value, so someone who's processing the food can get more money for it, which helps with the income and the poverty. Food safety, I think we're all aware of the food safety issues. I can think of listeriosis. I can think of recently quite a few children have bought sweets or food from a local shop and have died, and that is quite unacceptable. The accelerated use of indigenous knowledge systems, very important, to look at our indigenous foods, how to use them, how to grow them, and to preserve our cultures. And that was the 8 that they suggested. I'd like to add 2 more interventions. One is a coordinated approach to early childhood development. Currently, only 600,000 of our 6 million children are actually receive subsidy. And if we look at those numbers and the amount of food security is at about an average of 40%. So 60% of children should actually be getting grants, but only 10% are, so that's a huge problem. One of the reasons for that as well is that we have to have a double application system, so you get money from a SASSA grant, but then you have to reapply for an early childhood grant. Why they cannot be linked, instead of making people stand in queues and fill in forms twice and travel from rural areas to city areas for both those processes, is beyond me, but it's not beyond government to do something about it. And that would, plus of our early childhood development centres, only 50% of them are registered. I know there's a process to register them. In that process, one will be able to identify which children actually require subsidy, require grants, and require feeding. Secondly, and this is my last slide, an integrated approach to school nutrition. It's called the whole school approach, where there are food gardens at the school, water, sanitation, hygiene at the school, physical activity at the school. There's school health services that can not only at the school, but they can also go out to families where it's needed. There's healthy tuck shops and lunch boxes, one of the biggest issues, as well as unhealthy food and the marketing of unhealthy food. This topic, actually, I could speak on the whole day, and I've tried to reduce it as much as possible. There should be nutritional education, there should be school feeding, and that's a whole school approach, and I think that's something that we can do. As universities, we need to partner with our local communities, our CBOs, to strengthen their projects, to develop our own, and to provide research with data for policymakers. Overall, the government needs to make interventions by province and municipality. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It needs to look across the agricultural and the food chain and the nutrition chain, and it needs to really look at the data that's just been brought out by the HSRC and see how we can reverse it. The picture hasn't changed for 30 years, and we will not have democracy until we change that picture. Thank you.
I cannot help but do this. You know, the purpose of this meeting is to show people that food production is not just about agriculture. The reason why the students who are coming from different faculties decided to get together is to challenge every faculty to look again at the curriculum and ask yourself, what are you doing? Separating yourselves too far away from each other. What are you doing not coming closer to the people? Prof, I'm not going to repeat your speech, but you touched my heart when you said it affects everyone. But you brought it closer to home when you talked about rural. The reason why Eastern Cape is poor is partly because we are largely rural. And we've got a migration of people from the rural areas to the urban areas thinking that life is better there. As a natural scientist, I want to tell you this. There are 300,000 edible plant species in the world. Which ones dominate our food system, the staple foods? Rice. Do you know the another one? Wheat. Maize, Americans call it corn. This is what someone is munching as we speak every second, every day. As a university, we are going to focus in this rural Eastern Cape, work with the people of the Eastern Cape and say, agriculture started some 12,000 years ago. It was called Neolithic Revolution. As a result of Industrial Revolution, agriculture moved to where it is now, where fewer can feed many. We are now in the era of artificial intelligence, where farmers use drones, and they can farm when they are sitting in their room. Agriculture is not about farming only, it's about science and technology. Farming is not about food only, it is about economics. It is about education. Professor Nganyo, please come and address us on the topic of Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2063, Education and Food Systems.
Good morning, colleagues. Students, you are also my colleagues. Good morning. Thank you. I've been requested to present how do we link Agenda 2063 to the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, before I can start, you know, when you are addressing students, you have to be like students. Let us do this hashtag, stretch my rent. I will say hashtag, then you will all say hashtag, hashtag. But we are almost in their action and in any action. It's fine. Thank you very much. Colleagues, maybe you know about these concepts or you don't. It doesn't matter. What is Agenda 2063? You know, the African Union has sat down and they have developed this framework, which this framework is trying to unite the Africa and make the Africa we want. And this framework is looking more on social economic transformation, meaning that in fact, Africa, including our country, South Africa, needs to transform. And the universities are key to this transformation. So, what is Agenda 2063? So here in this framework, we build the implementation of the past and existing continental initiatives for growth and sustainable development. We don't want development, we want the one that is sustained. We don't want changes in food, we want food security which is sustainable. So, what is this Agenda 2063? So in this framework, we have got an integrated, prosperous and peaceful Africa. And if you can Google, you will see that there are 20 of these goals, as I have indicated. And from these 20 goals, there is no curriculum and there is no field in the university which cannot tap from this Agenda 2063 goals. I will just make an example. Professor Modi called us today and said we must talk about food security. So where do I look in the Agenda 2063? I look at number 1. Immediately I see number 1, a high standard of living, quality of life and well-being of citizens. Then I know I'm going to talk about food security. Immediately I go to number 3, healthy and well-nourished citizens. Food is relevant there. Immediately I look at transformed economies, production of food. How do we provide food? How do we produce food these days? Prof has just told us out here about artificial intelligence these days, meaning that we no longer produce things the way we used to. We are modern, and therefore our fields must also move with the times. If you look at which one? Number 7, environmental sustainability, sustainable and climate resilience economies and communities. Is that not food security? It is. Then, when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 of them. Even from those ones, you will see where does this day belongs. Tell me. Sustainable Development Goal number what? Number 1. No poverty. So today we are addressing that there should be no poverty. Number 2. Are we not addressing number 2? Which other one are we addressing? 3, good health and well-being. Which one? Which other one? Quality education. Because today we are teaching people about food security. Number 5, gender equality. Prof was presenting here issues of gender equality. That is, so many males have got food sustainability and so many females. There was a slide like that. Isn't it that, Prof Lidington? I saw one of your slides like that one. So, life on land, number 15. That's Sustainable Development Goal. So, there's something about environment. I'm not sure, but what I'm trying to say is there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals. There are 20, Agenda 2063 goals. So, what my topic is saying, is there a link between these Sustainable Development Goals with respect with what is relevant today, food security? Because today we are celebrating the World Food Day. And I promise you, whatever topic you want to transform, these goals are there for you. Whatever, but today we are focusing on food. So you can write as many papers, academics, as you like from the Sustainable Development Goals and also the Agenda 2063. So, my next slides are just giving examples of what can be done and what we have also done from the education perspective, from the economic perspective, from also the scientific perspective. Remember, Prof, my first qualification was to be trained as a teacher to teach mathematics and physical science. And my second qualification was the Bachelor of Science, where I've measured with chemistry and biochemistry. Before I diverted to economics. So economics is later in my life. I'm a scientist first. So I know issues of innovation. We need to be innovative. We cannot transform if we are sitting in traditional ways of doing things. We need to transform. Now, here is an example I'm giving on board. How do we link Agenda 2063 and Sustainable Development Goals? For instance, if I'm taking Agenda 2063 number 1, which says a high standard of living, quality of life and well-being for all citizens, then I link that one to SDGs number 1. Remember, no poverty. Number 2, end hunger. Number 3, in fact, not number 3, number 8 and number 11. So from these ones, what am I doing here? I'm linking the Agenda 2063 1 with SDG 1, 2, and 8. Because in SDG number 8, is promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. So through food security, you can provide jobs. Hence the priority areas in the middle are saying, when you link these two goals, what do you want to achieve at the end of the day? You want to achieve incomes. We call it household incomes. Let me put it like that. The incomes will increase. And this food production, once you are engaged in food production, you are increasing jobs. You are giving decent work to people. Because you are not abusing people and say they must go about tata magaba bayohlakula emasimini. No, we are producing. Professor just said to us, artificial intelligence. People can sit in offices, nice ones, and do agriculture. So, what are we doing? We are killing poverty here by linking these two goals. We are trying to address issues of inequality here. We don't want people to leave our province, which is rich in land. We want to work with our land as much as possible so that our land can produce what is not there in the world and export it. And not export it as raw material. My key word in economics is economic complexity. Meaning that we need to export complex products. So in agriculture that is in the Eastern Cape, we need to produce medicine. Professor Oyedeji, you are here. You have made tea. And I'm so proud that that tea needs to be exported throughout the world. And when that tea is that is complex production from the Eastern Cape, from Sisulu University. Clap hands for Prof. That's an example of how we produce and we make sure that there's food security, which is going to be beneficial, because we don't want to just produce for the sake of producing. We want to feed ours, because they say you export after you have satisfied yours. Then after that one, you export. Then once you get those labeling, there is also a research and innovation, there's an innovation section at research, whereby you are helped there to groom your innovation in a way that they are going to support you with also funding to also secure your IP here in the same university. You don't have to go and study elsewhere. You can do all these things at Sisulu University. What I'm trying to say here in this example, we can link the Agenda 2063 with the SDGs. And I've written a paper there at the bottom which says the role of entrepreneurial mindset to eradicate dependency. I'm not going to say it now because I'm going to explain this paper. It is my main example here in this presentation. Now, this is just another example of how do you link Agenda 2063 with SDG. If you have got number 2, the Agenda 2063 number 2, which says well-educated citizens and skills revolution underpinned by science, technology, and innovation. You cannot innovate without science. Hence, if you are not coming from the science background, collaborate with those that are in science to give you the innovation skills. You might have your skills, but they are not innovative like the scientists. So, science is very important for innovation. Let's clap hands for scientists. And in this university, we don't want to produce graduates who are not innovative. We don't want to have students who are going, when they go there, it's a me too. I've studied this degree, me too. I've graduated this, me too. We want you to check what is innovative about what you have studied so that you can market it. That is an entrepreneurial mindset that we want to produce in this university. So, by SDG 4, which says quality education, what are we doing? We ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Colleagues, we are a university. In university, we produce knowledge. And therefore, the knowledge that we produce must be useful to solve the problems of our societies. Don't teach something that is not important for your society to solve problems. Don't study a degree for the sake of studying because they've been admitted at Sisulu. Change it and check if which degree is going to make you innovative. And colleagues who are lecturers, ensure what you are teaching is really relevant. Which SDG are you teaching? And which Agenda 2063 are you teaching? So, the priority area there is education and science, technology and innovation, because there are skills that the students of Sisulu University must leave university with them from these SDGs. Even if you are doing law, there is something innovative you can do from these SDGs. So, learning these SDGs and these Agenda 2063 goals makes you relevant and current and innovative enough. Now, here is the paper, Prof. Here is the paper that I'm very proud of. We are in the process of publishing this paper. I'm doing this paper with Nsika Janji. It says the role of an entrepreneurial mindset to eradicate dependency on the National School Nutrition Grant in South African schools. You know, there are so many details in the paper about the background and everything. But I just want to summarize and say, if I'm looking at Agenda 2063, this paper is addressing no hunger, no poverty, health, education, growth or decent jobs, and environment, number 7. Then when you go to SDGs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 15. So you will see that these Agenda 2063 goals and Agenda 2060 and SDGs are linking. How do we link it? We have got a project we want to do seriously, and we say we're going to do it under our niche area, research niche area, which is called Sustainable Development and and Contemporary Issues in Society and Education. That RNA, we are saying one school, one garden. Because the schools in the Eastern Cape don't have gardens. Why do we want this project? And we want Prof. Moti to collaborate here with different people. Because when we are building these gardens there, we want to ensure that the types of fertilizers or the types of food that is produced in that school is informed by university knowledge. We also want different areas, because what we want to do when the schools are building this one school, one garden project, what we want to do, we want to ensure that we are producing this with skills of entrepreneurship, so that this project does not have dependency, because now students go to school for nutrition to get food. It ends there. When they are out of school, even when they are in universities, there is no nutrition. So we want them to learn from building those gardens, that they can have businesses out of those school gardens. And while they are still students at schools, they do these gardens, and these gardens makes money for them and the school while they are still there. So that is what we really wanted to achieve here. So that we eliminate hunger, we encourage maintenance of gardens to cultivate vegetables, fostering healthier communities. We want to have an impact of food production and consumption in an environment-related targets, because we also want our vegetables that are built in those gardens, that are growing in those gardens, must be environmentally friendly. So we need educated people here in these gardens. We don't want to just do the ordinary thing here. So food production significantly contributes to the global greenhouse gas emissions. Colleagues, we know coal. Coal is the one that is polluting the air. We want the air to be polluted by what is coming from our gardens. That is also going to help us in climate change, global warming. It is going to help these gardens. It's going to help them. Food production accounts for excessive fresh water and farmland use and biodiversity loss. People from science will tell you more about that. But what is very important is what we have seen when we were moving around the other schools. This is possible, because this is an example of 2 schools that we went to when we were collecting data about this paper of one school, one garden. In fact, about the nutrition program. When we went to this school, we saw different gardens, and then we said that this is a model that we want all schools to have. And we want the Walter Sisulu University to be leading in that project. So the sustainable of this program is linked to fostering entrepreneurship through activities like school gardens. And I liked Professor Lidington's last slide, which was having a lot of things that the schools can do to build these gardens. Exactly those were the skills that can be produced by having these. Because through learning these entrepreneurship skills, students will also learn time management, will learn financial knowledge, how to trade those spinach and those cabbages and everything there. Then that trading, they will have something on their own, the school will also gain. Even here at the university, when you have an entrepreneurial business, you can do business at the university and then you put a little percentage to the university. You are also gaining, the university is also gaining. So to improve financial capabilities, and we have noticed that the provinces can choose their procurement methods. Like here in the Eastern Cape, the schools are hands-on on the nutrition program. They buy the food, they do everything. But in other provinces, they service it outside. However, there's a concern that leads to this writing of this paper, that these measures may ultimately lead to dependency. So the paper wants to build this garden to eradicate the what? The dependency on the program, so that people can be independent. Right. So if you look on the right-hand side of the slide, there's a theory of social entrepreneurship which promotes us to empower them through entrepreneurial mindset. Professor Krita, it doesn't matter if they all don't become entrepreneurs, but introducing entrepreneurship to them is giving them a plan B, and is also making them better in their jobs if they are going to work, and at the work where they are, even if they are not employers, they are employees, they are better employees with an entrepreneurial mindset. So we need our curriculum to change and have entrepreneurship skills within that one. Entrepreneurial skills through practical engagement in the program, the nutrition program. Entrepreneurial mindset to address socio-economic challenges. So, without boring you too much, this is just another example, this one. I'm not going to deal with it because my time is up, but because I've dealt with what I wanted to deal. Thank you, Prof. Just give me 1 minute, Prof. So this is just an example. This one is just an example to show that every field can use the Agenda 2063 and SDGs. For instance, here, this is pure agriculture. And I've written many papers there because the other paper, we were addressing the mining sector of the depletion of the mining sector. That land must be changed to agriculture where we grow bamboo. And from bamboo, we make many projects. So you can deal with the theories, and you can look at, maybe if you get the slides, you will see which skills in the curriculum that can be changed. And then, thank you very much.
I like it. It's a lecture. Okay? I just want to remind people that students were given reading material for this day. And you'll see when the session for students comes. So that's why we have lecturers. Thank you very much, Prof. Let me call the next speaker. And I did not see her. Oh, okay, she's here. I'm relieved. Miss Majija. Asiba uzasijikijela na okanye uzasijija. Akenze ngaphambili.
Oh, good morning, Prof, doctors, students, my colleagues, and all of us, protocol observed. I was requested to come and do a presentation in whatever I can say, but the problem now is the setting. You know, when you are going to do the presentation, you have to know the audience that you are going to deal with. Nevertheless, the speakers who were in front, before me, they have done this work very easy for me. So, my presentation is about the science behind food choices. I am in consumer science department, which is applied science, whereby we are dealing with food and nutrition. We are dealing with consumer as in a social science that interacts the human being with its environment. Now, I think this platform is relevant for my students at large who are here. All right. The next slide. The question I had here is, why do we consume the food we do? It means there's a science, there's a need for us to consume what we do. Let me first define what food is, because the last speakers, they didn't tell us. They are talking about food, but they didn't exactly tell us what food is. We can see that it's like this, but we have to know what food is. It is any nutritious substance consumed by human and animals to maintain life and growth. It is the third essential human necessity. It is the most essential human necessity, following air and water, as Prof has already alluded. Then, now, the science behind our food choices now is closely connected to the right to food, which is our World Food Day theme, which seeks to guarantee access to nutritious, affordable, and safe for all. This takes us to go to ask ourselves that, have we secured food or not? Because they've already talked about food security. Now, there's a difference between food security and food and nutrition security. There's food here, there's food and nutrition security. Then, food security with all 4 dimensions, and this food and nutrition security, it exists now when all people, remember all, at all times, have physical, social, and access to food, which is consumed in sufficient quantity and quality to meet the dietary needs and food preferences, needs and preferences, as well as to support environment of adequate sanitation, health services, and care, allowing for a healthy, active life. So this food and nutrition security, it says it all, because when Prof. Nganywa was talking about the Sustainable Developmental Goals, we know that out of this food and nutrition security, we have to look at all these Sustainable Developmental Goals, but taking 1, 2, and 3. But my question now is that what is the status quo in this? What is the status quo now? With under 10 years left to reach the SDG target date, there is worldwide concern about ending hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition. Are we there? Do we think, is it not ambitious? Are we there? Are we going to achieve that goal? The UN Sustainable Developmental Goals, it's a question I'm not sure, because as of now, there is the statistics that tells us about there's 870 million suffer from hunger now, and 676 adults are affected by obesity, which is the new phase on food and nutrition insecurity. So what do we do then? There is also 350 more people were food insecure in 2021. If that number by that time, how much more now? Why do we still have million children who are overweight? 45 million are wasting, and 149 million are stunted. And we'll find that more of a concern is that 2 out of every 3 kids do not receive minimal variety of food they need to develop and prosper to achieve their optimum growth. And then, now the purpose of this World Food Day is an opportunity to reflect on the importance of food as necessity for survival and powerful force shaping our planet, health, and societies, as well as to explore the scientific basis of our food choices and their far-reaching impact. So how? What progress have we made towards ending hunger now? Going to food categories. Before, in order for us to achieve that question, we need to look at this South African food guide that has made graphically for our rural people. If you can see, the starch payana is the biggest portion, and followed by veggies. It was before, it was prior these years. Now we are not supposed to take more starch than any other food, because we are unique as people. Food is not one size fits all. We are unique. We have different illnesses. We have different lifestyles. We are different sexes. So therefore, we need to check about exactly what do we have to do. And in those food categories, you'll find that there's forgettable nutrient, which I can say is a nutrient, because water, we cannot do anything without water. So for me, I added water there in those food categories because of its beneficiary. Now, how can the significance and the significant impact of food choices? Then we need to balance the diet now. That is, according to we need to have that variety of fruit. We need to have starch. We need to have fish there. We need to have legumes, as well as those beverages and milk. Now, what does that mean? It means if the food is balanced, if a child or a human being gets that food, it means she has a balanced meal. To get that food, we need to have a clean environment. Making food choices can lead to a healthier lifestyle and more sustainable planet. Also, the last speaker spoke about green gas emissions, referred to the release of gases into Earth's atmosphere that trap heat, contributing to the greenhouse effect, the global warming. So therefore, in order for us to survive as human beings as well as animals, we need to have environmental impact, opting for plant-based food and reducing meat consumption to lower that greenhouse gas. Sustainability, the previous speakers have already alluded on it, as well as economic and social factors. Access to affordable, nutritious food. Affordable. Remember, we said in food security, you need to have access. You need to have, you have to afford food that is available in the area where you are. But unfortunately, you'll find that, Tina, we use ultra-processed food because that is the food that is available to us. Not knowing that, not understanding that that food is the one that will lead us to chronic diseases. So it is very important now for us as humans, as consumers, to understand exactly what is said by Agenda 2063 as well as SDGs 2030. So in order for us to achieve that, we need unity. As I said, unity is strength. Then SDGs are available when we work together. Are achievable when we work together. As governments, universities, private sectors, local farmers, we named them. Thank you.
Yeah, we are doing it. We are doing it as the leadership of the university. We are challenging people. Thank you very much. I would like now to call our next speaker before the gig starts. The students are waiting for the gig. The gig is coming. This is the second last speaker before we start the gig. So come forward, Professor Moi, Dr. Moi. I also didn't see it. Prof. Moi, yes. Yes, Prof. Moi. Our second last speaker before we start our gig.
Thank you, Prof. Good morning, colleagues. I'm trying to change the scene and confuse the enemy. I'm not going to be talking about the food that we see, the food that we feed for growth, and health, as Prof. Majija alluded to when she was defining food, that it is any nutritious substance consumed by a human being for health and growth. This type of food And the two concepts, nutrition and food, I'm going to use them interchangeably. I'll be referring to nutrition more than food, because those are, they have the same meaning, and can be used interchangeably. So this type of nutrition that I'll be talking to today is the one that restores health. Okay? So my topic is feeding critically ill patients and the nurse's role. And to give a brief introduction, okay, I thought I'll be able to see in the screen then, because the font is very small. I just wanted to say, all right, nutrition has become popular in improving patient outcomes. And that has become evident, as alluded to or demonstrated by literature. And to give a background, based on the observations of the outcomes of patients, all countries have a mandate to develop nutritional guidelines. And when we're talking nutritional guidelines in ICU, we refer to nutritional guidelines for artificial feeding, mainly referring to parenteral, which is eating via the vein, and enteral via the tube that goes through the stomach. And as for therapy, hospital food or nutrition should be prescribed by the doctors, physicians, dietitians, and nurses. I am a nurse, a critical care nurse. Specialization is emphasized. So I specialize in critical care. That's why I was saying I'm changing the scene. I'm talking to my field of specialization. A patient that is lying in bed, critical ill, and solely dependent on me for their nutrition. So critical ill patients go through critical conditions that result in a disproportional release of cytokine and stress hormones that alter energy and protein metabolism and eventually lead to malnutrition. As you are aware of the fact that you start getting symptoms of flu, your appetite goes down. Imagine a critical ill patient. Surgical patients compared to medical patients or trauma patients are significantly at risk of underfeeding, which may be related to the gastrointestinal intolerance of these patients after surgical procedures. Critical ill patients with clinical conditions such as trauma, sepsis, and major surgery are at a hypermetabolic state with long-term consequences. Now, when talking to critical illness and nutrition status, these critical ill patients undergo severe stress due to their critical illness, generally enhancing their metabolic demands to support the inflammatory response to critical illness. Such metabolic demand is sustained by catabolic response to use endogenous energy supply, especially during the acute phase of illness. Systemic inflammation, catabolic response, and prolonged immobilization during the treatment and illness cause polyneuropathy and muscle degeneration. I'm sure you've got a picture of a patient lying there in bed with muscles getting flabby because now the patient is malnourished, leading to progressive deterioration of the physical function known as intensive care unit acquired weakness, ICU, AW, which has long-term consequences. I want you to look at those. This is my favorite slide because we are not looking to here and now. If we don't feed that critical ill patient, think about the consequences. As I've explained that the catabolism and the hypermetabolism, they destroy, they damage the muscle, they reduce patients' ability to fight the illness. So you can imagine that critical ill patient going into physical impairment. That affects, because as Prof alluded to the fact that nutrition, when it feeds the body, it is circulated through the blood, delivering oxygen and the nutrients that we get from food. The brain is very sensitive to circulating volumes and concentrations. Few seconds without nutrition, when the patient is in coma, when the patient is unconscious and being resuscitated, there's less going to the brain. And that affects their cognitive aspect. And they get cognitive impairment. And that may result in mental illness or mental disorders or dementia when they are in ICU, disorientation, confusion, and all the like. And then that also affects the family. You can imagine a patient lying in a hospital bed and you can't do anything. As a critical nurse, I've got an experience of them bringing all this what you have brought here, thinking that their loved ones will be able to eat, and they have to go back home with those. So that affects them, because some of those people that are lying there, those patients, those relatives or family members are dependent on them. They are their breadwinners. They are their only people that are bringing or putting bread on the table. Next slide. Still continuing on patient nutrition, I'm now looking and want to focus on the role of a nurse. A nurse, as opposed to the other members of the multidisciplinary team, is the one that is next to the patient 24/7. Hence, I'm associating the primary responsibility of feeding this patient with a nurse. As care of the critical ill patient becomes more complex, so does the breadth of knowledge required of the healthcare practitioners to deliver quality service. I'm referring to the multidisciplinary team, including the nurses. Feeding patients in the first week in the ICU has proven to be beneficial to longer survival time and faster physical recovery post-ICU discharge. Adequate food must be supplied to allow tissues destroyed during starvation to be rebuilt. As I alluded earlier, that the type of nutrition I'm referring to is not the one that is promoting health, but it is restoring health that has been lost gradually during critical illness. And then, as I already alluded to, nurses are strategically positioned to conduct nutrition assessment and initiate nutrition support with the recommended time of 24 hours post-admission to ICU. Nurse is there 24/7. They are the one who should initiate assessment of nutrition from the relatives. The nutritional status starts from history taking. A patient comes unconscious, unable to communicate and give history for themselves. There's always a person who is accompanying a patient that is coming to ICU. And nurses' responsibilities is to take history. How did illness start? And in that history that they are taking, nutrition history is key, because within 24 hours, the patient has been admitted in ICU. Because the other members of the multidisciplinary team focus on other things: stabilizing the patient, ventilating the patient, lowering that blood pressure, resuscitating that patient. And as a nurse, you must always be mindful of starting feeding that patient, because it always comes as an afterthought to other members of the multidisciplinary team. So these nurses must be vigilant in assessing the nutritional status and be able to start with a regime or intervention of providing nutritional support. After nutrition assessment, they consult with the multidisciplinary team members to make decision on provision of nutritional support. A doctor can come to see the patient for the first time or the third time, but they won't talk about nutrition because they are concerned about ventilation and other interventions. So as a nurse, this must be on your forehead. So, and it is important that the nurse does not contain this in ICU because the patient is going to be discharged to the ward. And that requires nurse-led nutrition protocols that are going to be assisting and guiding provision of nutrition in ICU by nurses. And after transfer to the ward, for them to recover fully before they are discharged to their homes. We need champions to do that. Coming to conclusions and recommendations. As I already said, critical illness does not start nor ends in the ICU. It starts by having symptoms, appetite going down, weakness, and then you go to the hospital. And then the hospital can be admitted for months, for weeks to months before they get to ICU. You can imagine the catabolic states that I've been explaining to you. What are they doing? Where is the nutritional status when you find them in ICU? So it is important to have that in mind as a nurse, that critical illness does not start in ICU, nor ends there. And then nutritional assessment must be commenced at home. Health education on the importance of nutritional status assessment must be emphasized at the PHC level, that is primary healthcare level. Facilities that are manned by nurses. On hospital and ICU admission, nurses must take thorough history on nutrition of the patient and publish protocols, nurse developed, and hospital and national guidelines must be implemented. And more research is needed on guideline implementation, as much research has confirmed that nurses have got less knowledge in terms of nutrition or provision of nutrition to patients. They always relegate that task or role to other members of the multidisciplinary team. So the main aim or the main emphasis of my presentation was on the long-term consequences of malnutrition in ICU. As we know that if the brain runs without oxygen for a few seconds, a lot is at stake, a lot is affected, and particularly their mental and cognitive status. We are in that era, post-COVID, where everybody is affected psychologically and mentally by COVID-19 pandemic. I thank you.
My teacher told us what is food, and now somebody is saying, if you don't want to go to the hospital, eat food, because it's going to be a challenging job when you get there. No one knew that someone from health sciences can come and tell us the connection between a human being's life and food. Professor Okute, people say that we grow food on earth. We use the soil Are there any alternatives? Tell us, come, tell us. Is there anywhere else we can get food? This is our last speaker before the gig. Just need to tell them that they must press here, right? Yes. Because people will not move in slides. Here.
This is forward. Okay, but then you have to, where do I point it, backward or forward?
You don't have to point.
No, okay. Is it on presentation mode? Not
It's
yet.
on presentation mode.
Not yet. Not yet
I'll put
there.
it on now.
Good afternoon. Molweni. Why are you not happy? We are stretching our hand, Ngoko. Okay. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Executive Dean, FNS, Professor Modi. Representatives from senior management, I acknowledge you. Executive deans from different faculties acknowledge you. I acknowledge student leadership, fellow colleagues, and our esteemed students or children. Good afternoon to you once again. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the role of aquaponics or aquaculture in sustainable development through STEM applications. This is my presentation outline. I'm going to talk about food security challenges in sub-Saharan Africa, the role of aquaponics or aquaculture in food security, and then dwell into the intersection of STEM and aquaculture in sustainable food production, and then conclude. Now, this is a map of sub-Saharan Africa, and I've included it here specifically for those who may not know the difference when we talk about Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. So when we talk about sub-Saharan Africa, is Africa but below the Sahara Desert. Now, as we may all know, there are several challenges or food security challenges in sub-Saharan Africa. And the greatest monster that is causing all this chaos is climate change. It's ravaging every single thing on earth. Rainfall is unpredictable. It comes when it's not needed. And when you farm, you start farming, then it comes too late, and therefore you don't get a bumper harvest. The second item is that due to certain improvements in healthcare in certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa, the population is growing rapidly, exponentially, and as estimated by the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, by 2050 there will be about 10 billion people on Earth, and there is need to produce food. And how do you produce food when climate change is causing havoc? So we have to be innovative. The second challenges are economic constraints in sub-Saharan Africa, and I'm not going to dwell on that. Apart from that, there are conflicts everywhere. You look at the Sahel region, Central and East Africa, around the DRC Congo, there are conflicts. In the Sudan, there are conflicts. Now, apart from this, there are pests that interfere with food production, as well as disease outbreaks, some of which we still have to learn how to deal with. Now, what is aquaponics? So aquaponics is a sustainable food production system that combines what is called aquaculture and hydroponics in a mutual beneficial environment. And I plead with you to stop murmuring and looking at social media, because this is going to be a fishy talk and you may miss out and not stretch your hand today. So I'm begging you to pay attention and let people listen to my speech without noise, please. So as I've said, aquaponics is a sustainable way of producing food, and it's a combination of aquaculture and hydroponics. As you may see in the diagram illustrated here, now, when you produce fish under aquaculture, the waste coming from fish, the waste, is basically ammonia, and that can be harvested in a circular loop to produce fruits and vegetables. It's an organic way of generating fertilizer, and it is sustainable, as demonstrated in the diagram there. Now, this is what it is. You have your circulating aquaculture system with fish in it. You have an air pump to increase oxygenation in water, because without oxygen in water, the fish will not survive. Then once you feed the fish, obviously it will do the necessary physiological things. It will poo and wee. And all that is beneficial, because the ammonia there will be converted into fertilizer, which you can then use to grow your fruit and vegetables within a very small confinement space. And that's why it is sustainable. So that was aquaponics. So hydroponics, on the other hand, as Professor Modi had alluded, you use water also. So your nutrients are dissolved in water, and you can use that to produce vegetables without using soil at all. And this is also sustainable, because you know what you are putting in. You don't use soil. You can generate your own fertilizer, dilute it in water, and then use that to fertilize your vegetables in a very small, confined space. Now, the difference between hydroponics and aquaponics is that hydroponics, there's no fish. So you need to add nutrients. You know what you are putting in. You can control how much you put in, compared to using chemical fertilizer when you are using soil. Now, so the aquaculture recirculating system is also another way of producing fish. But in this case now, you don't have to produce vegetables or fruits and vegetables. So aquaponics is a combination of hydroponics and aquaculture. So it's the best of both. And that is why we say it is sustainable. It is sustainable because you can harvest rainwater, and then your water will be recirculated, and then you will not have to replenish water all year round. You can only just add a little bit that evaporates due to evaporation. And that is why it is sustainable. Apart from that, it is highly efficient, and you can put high quality products, fish and vegetables at the same time. And it can be done anywhere, in your office, in your garage at home, or in your compound. And that was the benefit of it. And then you can produce vegetables and fish at the same time all year round. So having explained what aquaponics is, the difference between hydroponics and aquaculture, how does this happen? The nitrogen flow in aquaponic systems, so as I've mentioned, you feed the fish, it wee and poo, it's basically ammonia. Then you will have the beneficial bacteria within your tank that will convert or break down ammonia into nitrites. And then there are other beneficial bacteria also that will break down the nitrates into nitrites, which is basically fertilizer. And so those are the benefits now. But what are the current states of aquaculture? Why are we preaching aquaponics? We are preaching aquaponics because at the moment we feel, or it is established, that fish is the most nutritious animal protein on earth. Okay? You can get nutrients, micronutrients from eating fish. and your omega-3s. But now, where are we with fish at the moment? Because of the same climate change, the fish stocks in the wild are completely declining, not meeting the population demand. You remember we said there's an exponential population growth. And so we are not able to produce enough food to feed the growing population. And therefore, aquaponics is the game changer. It is, currently, it is underdeveloped in many sub-Saharan countries. South Africa is leading, but only from the marine aspects of aquaponics and fish farming. But now, South Africa, although doing well from the marine point of view, is not doing well in the freshwater part of it. And that's why we think we should be able to practice aquaponics so that those communities that are not living along the coastline can also benefit from eating this nutritious food. So we feel that it has potential in sub-Saharan Africa, including South Africa, for those inland communities that do not have access to the coastline. Now, we're still stuck on some traditional ways, but we need now to innovate and apply current technology. But the modern technology and support and infrastructure are also still unlimited, and therefore we need to be thinking innovation. So aquaculture, a component of aquaponics, can help alleviate the problem of dwindling fish stock in the wild to meet the current population growth. Now, what is the role of aquaponics in food security? I've just summed it in that slide. You can get your vegetables, you can see these structures. At the bottom, you have fish in fish tanks. At the top, you have crops. And this is a structure that you can put anywhere in your compound, in your office. Grow your strawberries in the office, your onions, and what have you. And within a few months, they will be ready. You can just pluck and eat, instead of eating magwenya, which is not healthy, according to the nutritionist. You can do it. We have a big compound here, and I think the VC promised me land some time ago, and I think I need to revisit that so that we can do this and stretch our hand, isn't it? If I had a system like this in this compound, why should our students be going without food? And the students can be trained to manage these systems so that they earn a living out of it and pay their school fees. It is doable, but we need a mindset change. And we need to be disciplined, because keeping fish, feeding fish, and maintaining it is like maintaining a baby. You have to feed it, you have to change the diaper, etc., etc. Now, we've talked about aquaponics, the importance in sustainable food, but now, where is the intersection with STEM fields? In all these things that we have talked about, whether it's aquaponics, hydroponics, you cannot do it without the STEM fields. You need to at least have some basic understanding of the, just to give an example, the slide on, what are the main freshwater species farmed at the moment in sub-Saharan Africa? From the freshwater side of things, it's mainly tilapia and catfish. But there are other freshwater species that we can still tap on and breed. But we need to learn genetics and do genetic selection so that we can learn and improve them to provide food for the community. Now, here is the intersection of science. When you talk about farming fish, you cannot do without genetic selection, as I've mentioned. You need to know have some skills in genetics and molecular biology, etc. You need to know science, the nutritional science. The nutritionists have spoken. But fish also needs nutrition. How do you formulate a good food? Now, we are talking about One Health concept. And the basics of One Health concept is that when you farm fish or any animal, you have to take into consideration the health and well-being of that animal, and the human being also that is going to eat that animal, and also the environmental health. So without knowledge of microbiology, you cannot formulate good feed. Without technology, all these recirculating system aquaponics, you need engineers to construct them. We need electrical engineers to help us use renewable energy to drive these processes so that we don't use electricity. Because at the moment we are using electricity, but now we have scientists and professors within the university that are going to help us use renewable energy. So I've talked about improvements, genetic improvements for selection of new species, disease management. We are all aware of multi-drug resistant bacteria, and therefore without it you cannot harvest the fish or the vegetables, because multi-drug resistant pathogens can be transferred from fish to your vegetables in the aquaponics system. And without that knowledge, the food we produce might not be suitable for human consumption. I've talked about nutritional science. Now we talk about technology. The recirculating aquaculture system, you need to understand technology. We've talked about artificial intelligence. All these things are automated. Once you set time, fish will be fed at specific times. You can set artificial intelligence to monitor water quality parameters, and therefore you can intervene when there are changes and save the fish before they die. So without microbiology also, you might not know how to formulate feed. So I've talked about technology, trying to cruise because of time. And as usual, you cannot do anything without some limited knowledge of data analytics. In any business, whether you are going to do it as a hobby, whether you are doing it as a small-scale farmer, or whether you are doing it for commercial purposes, you need to collect your data. You know where you are coming from and where you are going. So data is very important even when you are doing aquaponics. You need to keep your data so that if something goes wrong, you need where to start making interventions. So mathematics, modeling, simulation is important. Okay, engineering. I've already mentioned you can't do without engineering. The construction, all these floating cages, whether it's in the sea, whether it's in Umtata Dam, whether it's in Mabeleni Dam, you need some level of engineering, basic skills of engineering, and how to make them float without contaminating water. We need how to know the engineering of wastewater management so that we don't cross a lot of pollution. Okay, so in conclusion, I would say that STEM applications play a critical role in advancing sustainable aquaculture or aquaponics by enhancing productivity, reducing environmental impacts, and promoting resource efficiency. Now, when we advocate STEM in aquaponics or aquaculture or fisheries for that matter, we are not saying bye-bye to social sciences. All these things, whether you are doing fisheries, aquaculture, and aquaponics, they are always the human and the social aspects of it. So as Professor Nganywa said, collaboration is the way to go. So through continued innovation, interdisciplinary collaboration, aquaponics can contribute significantly to the sustainable development goals, ensuring secure and environmental responsible supply of aquatic resources for food security. And then addressing infrastructure limitations, knowledge gaps, and financial barriers, we can harness the benefits of aquaponics to address and contribute to the SDGs. From 1 to 5, we talked about no poverty, 0 hunger. Number 3, what was number 3? Human health and well-being. Number 4, quality education. Number 5, aquaponics or aquaculture can be done by both women, men, youth, and adults. So, gender equity. And then number 12, if we produce food responsibly and we don't waste it, we will be solving SDG number 12, responsible consumption and production. And the list goes on. So, dear esteemed students, we are passing this baton to you. We need to preach STEM fields. We need to market aquaculture and aquaponics because it is the right thing to do, and we cannot do it without you. So as a leader of the Smart Fed Research Niche area, we have already started a program that we are going to use. We are going to outsource help to help us market aquaponics, and each school, if possible, will have its own mini aquaponics, either in their offices or the principal's offices, and even at USU, why not? Thank you for listening.
Hey, Prof, don't go.
Okay.
Don't go, you're gonna join us here.
Oh,
Now I'm calling, thank you very much, Prof.
can I get?
Let me just say something. Could you just give us water there? You can get here, you can get water. What is amazing now is that all the talks are connected. And this is what the university wants us to say. Why did you organize World Food Day? This is what we are going to say as an answer. Walter Sisulu University is going to have a research center for food systems. And that research center for food systems is going to be a research center that includes researchers that are coming from all faculties. So I would like to invite all our speakers here, and I want to invite the organizing committee, the leaders, the people who made this day happen, Indipile, Afika, Amanda, Azola, Oyama. Bring your leadership. Bring your leadership. Bring your leadership. I want you here to join us. Because people will, after the gig, after the gig, the people will forget who organized the gig and brought alcohol and brought food. So before you get drunk about hashtag stretch my rent, I want you to know who made you happy. Okay? So this day was about stretching your rent, and I want you to know that these are the people who organized it. And I challenge them to use their NSFAS rent and buy food. And they said, no, we're going to buy. I said, where are you going to buy food? They said, we're going to go to Miezo Spa. I said, you know, the problem with Miezo Spa is that it's too small. It cannot feed all the students. I said, you know what? You're going to feed all the WSU students with this one rent. So I want somebody here to come. Ingipil. I call her Ingipil. Okay? Show them the rent. Tell them the rent that you stretched. How did you stretch this rent? Show them the rent.
Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Indipile Mgaba. I'm the SRC coordinator from Faculty of Natural Sciences. Prof, ngobe ngixelela ngale program. I was like, Prof, 100, do you know that Pumisonga namakanda? Then he paid, but he said that we should learn to actually stretch our money. As students, we don't have enough money to sustain us for the whole month, but the little that we have to get food that is organic, that is nutritious, that is going to feed us for the whole month. Umzekelo, you can see the packs that are here, only with this money, 100 rands. This is the food that you can come out with Emiezo. So today we actually wanted you to learn that you can actually sustain your money along the month. The 1.6 that you can get enough food for the whole month. Thank you.
And their mother, I caught them in the passage, you know, when the classes were finished, and their mother was not aware of it. So I want their mother to come and tell me whether she's upset about them. I know she's going to speak last. I want her to come. She's hiding. I want her to come and tell her, is she upset about me using the African cultural practice of saying My children are your children. Did I do something wrong? Tell them.
Molweni, dumelang. Molweni, dumelang. I must say, from Student Affairs, we are quite excited because it's really sad to see students go into class without food. We have seen examples of students who literally go to class without food. And we have seen how the SRC, over the years, have tried their best to come up with initiatives. Annually, they will have food security program. However, it was a once-off program. And when Prof. Modi raised his hand, I said, Prof, indeed, we need a sustainable program. And I'll speak more on that when I do the vision for Student Affairs regarding the project. So we are quite excited, and I'm glad that it's not only in the natural sciences. As an African child, I was taught that in order to address challenges, we need to work together as a community. So let us meet in our WUSU community and ensure that we address all the challenges. This is an example. We are looking forward. Prof.
Thank you very much. And now, I was told someone wants to take their picture. Feel free, you can take their picture. We are turning a page. When people talk about SRC, I know what comes to their mind, and I'm not going to tell you what comes to their mind. And people say SRCs are owned by political parties, not at WSU going forward. SRCs will own the university, and they will set the direction that the university should take. When they come back, many years later, they will say, we started a legacy at Walter Sisulu University. We started something that does not happen anywhere else in the world. So political parties, you must know that SRC owns the university, and you don't own the SRC. SRC gives us leadership as the leadership of the university. So what's going to happen next is that you are now going to get a glimpse about the story of why you've got this food in front of you here. This is the food that was purchased with that 100 rand. It is an experiment. We are a university. We are going to tell a story that is scientific about this. These people are in trouble. They are in it forever. They are going to tell the story scientifically. Students, 50 students from 5 different faculties were grouped into 5 groups of 10 to read, search for information, challenge their intellectual capability, and say, how can I use 100 rand to buy the best food? The food that has been described by Professor Moi, by Ms. Majija, and all the other speakers, Professor Nganywa. And they worked in teams. Unfortunately, I cannot bring 50 people here, but they are here in this room, those 50 people representing different faculties. And we got judges to judge how well did they do to buy a combination of a food pack that is nutritious. So that if it is not this big, it must be this highly nutritious. That is what the competition is about. So now I'm told we're going to see them buying at Spa. After that, we are going to see their videos when they were putting together their action plan. Okay, these are the future leaders. And I say to them, we don't want another hero. We don't need another hero. All we need is what? Action. The future government of South Africa is not going to be the government of heroes who speak. It's going to be the government of heroes who say, when I was at varsity, this is what I've done. And now I own a farm. I have got a degree in medicine, but I grow food hydroponically. Where is this video? Where is this Miezo Spa? Tell us. Let's go and watch it. Sit down.
Greetings. My name is Yolanda Mhlifili, and my team and I represent the Faculty of Economic and Financial Science. Today we are here to speak about how inflation has an impact on student lives. The increasing prices and escalating cost of food present significant economic challenges for students, impacting their financial stability and overall well-being. As food prices rise, students often find themselves with tighter budget. This situation is made worse by the already limited financial resources most students have, as they often rely on part-time jobs, student loans, or parental support that may not adjust with inflation. Consequently, many students might prioritize cheaper food that will affect their academic performance. Subsidized nutrition can lead to decreased energy levels and concentration, posing hurdles to effective studying and participation in academic activities. Moreover, the financial strain caused by expensive food can impact students' broader economic behaviors and decisions. For instance, students may need to cut back on essential educational resources, extracurricular activities, or even reduce their course load to work more hours, potentially prolonging their time in school. This shift in priorities can affect their educational outcomes and long-term career perspectives. The challenge of managing increasing food costs intersects with other economic decisions, highlighting the need for institutions to consider measures such as on-campus food support programs and financial counseling to help students navigate these economic pressures.
The higher increase in pricing in South Africa in 2024 can be attributed in various factors, including economic conditions, government policies, and global influence. These factors have created a challenging environment for business and consumers in the country, leading to a significant rise in prices across different sectors. One of the main causes of the higher increase in pricing is inflation. Inflation occurs when there is a general increase in price, reducing the purchasing power of consumers. In South Africa, inflation has been on the rise due to the factors such as currency devaluation, rising fuel price, and increased cost of imported goods. As a result, businesses have had to adjust their prices to maintain problem of higher pricing for consumers. Government policies and regulation also play a significant role in pricing dynamic in South Africa. Policies such as taxation, trade tariffs, and minimum wage laws have a direct impact on the cost of production onto consumer in the form of higher prices.
Prices of goods have significantly impacted the individual who had been earning the same salary over several years. With South Africa's inflation reaching to 7.8% in July 2022, those earning lower wage had prioritized essential like transport and utilities over food. This had led a concerning trend where people are spending more to get the same basic groceries that they had been getting over the years, but ultimately having less money for food. The minimum allowance increase of 10% in 2022 didn't keep pace with the inflation, effectively making ordinary workers poor in real terms. A student earning a minimum allowance of 1,600 would feel like they have 700 when purchasing the food basket and toiletries due to high prices, while basic food basket of a student cost around 2.5. As of 2024, the South African's inflation rate has slowed to 4.4%, but the impact of the higher price interest rates on salaries, increases, and employees' expectations remain as a concern. With many South Africans heavily in debt, employers are under pressure to award salary increase that keep pace with the inflation. It's essential for individual employers and policymakers to work together to address the widening wage versus inflation gap and to ensure that workers can afford basic necessities.
As the Faculty of Economic and Financial Sciences, we believe that students should be given student discounts at all retail stores so that they can be able to hashtag stretch my rand.
Hello everyone. As we celebrate World's Food Day, it is empirical and important to reflect on how we can stretch our resources, make smarter food choices, and understand our choices and decisions on our health and well-being. This year's theme encourages us to be mindful of how we spend our hard-earned money while still choosing nutritious and healthy foods. Many of us are familiar with the challenge of making a limited budget go a long way. But with the right resources, knowledge, and tools, we can all stretch our resources, creating meals that are not only affordable to the consumer, but also nourishing as well. As education students, we believe that knowledge is key. When we learn about nutrition, portion sizes, and the benefits of different food groups, we empower ourselves to understand and make better food choices. I have seen this firsthand on our campus as most students shop at the Miezo Spa. How small changes like choosing whole grains over refined ones or opting for refreshing seasonal fruits and vegetables can make a huge difference in your pocket and your health. When we often demonstrate how simple, nutritious meals can be prepared on a tight budget, for instance, using beans and lentils as protein sources instead of expensive meat can reduce the costs and provide the essential nutrition needed by the body. Involving the students in these activities helps them see that eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive and that it fosters a long-term understanding of how to balance nutrition, taste, and cost. On this World Food Day, we challenge everyone to think critically about the food choices we make. By learning more about nutrition and getting creative with our resources, we can all contribute to a healthier world, one meal at a time. Let's continue to share knowledge, support one another, and make food decisions that benefit our health and commitments in the long run. Thank you.
Hi guys, welcome to our hashtag Stretch My Rand podcast. We are the Faculty of Law, Humanities and Social Sciences, and we will be talking about food insecurity, which is the lack of reliable access to sufficient, affordable and nutritious food. This is a problem as it disrupts people's health and quality of life. Stay tuned on more information about what our faculty has to say about food insecurity in South Africa.
A lot of issues nowadays are discussed and taught through conversations as well as information technology. Some of the most prominent issues are gender-based violence as well as poverty. However, there are other issues that exist as well, such as food insecurity, that aren't discussed as much. However, they are still a cause for concern.
So ours here as the Faculty of Humanities, Law and Social Sciences is to drive and initiate a conversation around the socio-economic dimensions and the human rights, however within the scope of the politics of poverty and how these create social and economic problems. And after laying this premise, then suggest new ways in which to acquire and attain equality.
Food insecurity is misunderstood, and this is a result of the definition that society has come up with, which is misconstrued, right? It's not related to the economic standing necessarily, but rather the accessibility of this nutritious food to everybody who needs it, right? And so this speaks to the production of this food and the governance and the legislation surrounding the production of this food, right? And so it just speaks to the whole idea of we could all have the money to buy it, but do we have enough stock within, or supply rather within the resources that we have. And so, therefore, we speak of this gap that exists that ought to be bridged, right? The gap between the food secure and food insecure, the gap between the poor and the stable. However, these gaps that I've just mentioned don't necessarily mean the same thing, right? And so, what this means is that rich people can also be food insecure.
So just to reiterate, the right to food is a fundamental socio-economic right. But before going into that, let's delve into the supremacy clause of the Constitution, which is enshrined in Chapter 1, Section 2. It states that the Constitution is the supreme law of the Republic and any law or conduct inconsistent with it is invalid. It also states that the obligations imposed by the Constitution must be fulfilled. With that being said, Section 28 and 27 of the Constitution state that everyone has the right to have access to sufficient food and water, and these rights must be fulfilled.
Also, it is important to consider the fact that without the right to food, many socio-economic rights are also infringed, such as the right to life and the right to dignity. Now, to make sure that these rights are not infringed, according to Section 7 of the Constitution, the government has a duty to fulfill, respect, protect, and promote the socio-economic rights. However, the rights in the Bill of Rights are not absolute, according to Section 36 of the Constitution, meaning that these rights can be limited if the limitation is justifiable and reasonable in an open and democratic society.
There are intertwined socio-economic factors that contribute to poverty and cascading issues that arise from not addressing it. Socio-economic factors like the lack of access to quality education, limited job opportunities, and inadequate healthcare services create a vicious cycle of poverty. When education is inaccessible, individuals are less likely to secure stable, well-paying jobs, leading to unemployment and underemployment. Poor health outcomes are a direct consequence of poverty. Without access to nutritious food and medical care, health issues become prevalent, reducing an individual's ability to work and improve their situation. Crime rates often rise in impoverished areas due to the desperation and lack of opportunities. Economic inequality widens as those in poverty remain trapped in their circumstances while others advance.
With regards to new approaches for equality, it should be understood that policies such as the National Food Security Policy need to be reformed and enforced, and that implementation to provide for nutritional food for children in poverty class of South Africa. While community-led initiatives are also an option that can help with bridging the gaps. Understanding that the government also has its limitations, however, by supporting small farming businesses within the rural areas through government funding would help reduce this gap.
In light of what has been said above, one of the innovative measures that the government can take to curb the food insecurity is by utilizing the tender system. By giving tenders to small businesses and farmers, this can help them produce a higher quantity of fresh produce, nutritious food that can be easily accessible to both higher class and lower class people.
Thank you for watching. #SearchMyRand.
The World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of disease or infirmity. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World Food Day 2024 under the Walter Sisulu University theme, #StretchMyRand. I am here to speak to you about the importance of food and basically nutrition. In essence, honorable people, the idea is that food forms the basis of our metabolic processes. It forms the basis of our synthetic and so many other processes that are important for life and are needed for the healthy well-being of an individual. When you look at it in the scientific or the medicinal form, they'll tell you that food forms the basis of protein synthesis, which is actually some of the building blocks of life and of the body. Now let us come to the basic food pyramid. The basic food pyramid begins with the carbohydrates. These are our grain products like maize, wheat, and sand. So the carbohydrates or the grain products form the basic bulk of our diet. They are the ones that give us the energy to actually work out, the energy to study, the energy to go run a marathon. And this is just how important they are. And because of that, they must be taken in the largest portion, and they form the basic large portion of the food pyramid. From there onwards, you have your vitamins and minerals. These ones are the fruits and the vegetables. The fruits and the vegetables are those that contain basically the vitamins, all the vitamins you speak about. You say vitamin B12, vitamin A, vitamin C from oranges. All of this come from fruits and vegetables, and their importance not only is for the prevention of disease by producing basic important substrates, but they are involved also in the metabolism of other nutrients. So they actually ensure that the body functions, and it functions well. After your vitamins and your minerals, or rather fruit and vegetables, comes the proteins now and the dairy products. The proteins and the dairy products actually provide the necessary amino acids that you need for your body to produce non-body produced proteins. So what the body needs to produce, the basic unit of life, which is the cell itself. For your body to work out, it needs the basic unit, and the basic unit is the protein. From there onwards, we have those that must be eaten sparingly. Emphasis on sparingly. This is where we speak about your sugar products, your fats and oils. As much as they are important for insulation, as much as they're important as a secondary source of energy, they can have dire health effects if they are taken or eaten in a large amount, and hence they are at the top of the food pyramid. So to show that they should be taken less sparingly. From there onwards, we can see that food actually forms the basis of who we are. It is from food that we find the nutrients. It is from food that we get the energy to continue. And this is why World Food Day is important. And this is why we must all ensure that everyone gets nutritional, good quality food. Hashtag stretch my rent.
Now that we know the importance of nutritious food in our bodies, it is of utmost importance that we understand the consequences of not getting enough nutrition, not getting enough food. And this brings us to the most prevalent conditions related to food insecurity in South Africa. The first one being malnutrition. Malnutrition is as a result of not getting enough nutrients from the food, which is seen in two ways. Undernutrition, which is most common in children, where they will be wasted and stunted. Wasting as in very thin, and stunting as in a short stature for their age or gender. The second way is micronutrient deficiencies, which is a deficiency of important vitamins and minerals. The most common vitamins are iron and vitamin A. This brings us to the second most prevalent condition, which is anemia, particularly iron deficiency anemia. This condition occurs as a result of not getting enough iron from the diet. We need iron for the production of red blood cells, which are essential for transporting oxygen to the rest of the body. A person with iron deficiency anemia is usually seen with pale skin, fatigue, shortness of breath, and the rest of the symptoms. The third most prevalent conditions are kwashiorkor and marasmus, which are the severe forms of malnutrition. Kwashiorkor is a condition that results from not getting enough protein in the diet. It is seen by sweating of the belly and the legs, skin problems, and irritability. Marasmus is as a result of not getting enough calories overall, where mostly children will be very thin and frail looking, as their bodies use up fat and muscle for energy, as opposed to using the intaken calories. The fourth most prevalent condition is weakened immune system, which increases susceptibility to infections. A proper nutrition supports a strong immune system. So without enough nutritious food, people tend to have a weakened immune system, which makes them more prone to getting infections and not being able to fight off illnesses and infections effectively. Addressing these issues is essential for improving health and well-being, especially for children and vulnerable populations like WSU students, particularly the NSFAS beneficiaries. which is why we are promoting the notion of stretching your rand. That is, with the little money you have, you should be getting as enough nutritious food as possible. Just getting food is not enough. The important question here is, how nutritious is that food? Because unhealthy eating habits result in conditions like obesity, diabetes, and hypertension, which are as prevalent in South Africa. Therefore, addressing these issues requires comprehensive public health strategies, including education and improved access to nutritious food.
The impact of nutritious food on a student's mental health, cognitive function, and brain power is profound. Nutritious food impacts the mental health of a student in the following ways: reduced stress and anxiety. Nutrient-rich foods like omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, and magnesium support mental well-being. Improved mood. Complex carbohydrates, fiber, antioxidants in fruits and vegetables boost serotonin levels. Enhanced resilience. A balanced diet helps students cope with academic pressure and emotional challenges. Nutritious food also impacts cognitive function of a student in the following ways: better concentration and focus. Adequate nutrition, particularly iron, B vitamins, and proteins, support brain function. Improved memory and learning. Omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and essential minerals enhance cognitive processing. Processing speed. Nutrient-dense foods support neural connections and synaptic plasticity. Lastly, nutritious food impacts brain power by neuroprotection. Antioxidants and essential nutrients shield the brain from damage and inflammation. Neuroplasticity. A balanced diet supports brain adaptability and development. Enhanced creativity. Nutrient-rich foods stimulate imagination and problem solving. Overall, a balanced diet reduces stress and anxiety, improves mood, and enhances resilience, while also boosting concentration, memory, and processing speed. Whole foods such as oats, brown rice, and frozen vegetables support neuroprotection, neuroplasticity, and creativity. By prioritizing whole foods, students can fuel their minds and achieve their goals. Remember, invest in your brain, invest in your future, and nutrition is not a luxury, it is a necessity. So join the movement and hashtag stretch my rand, because every rand counts and every whole food is one step closer to a healthy lifestyle. Thank you.
Having highlighted the impact of malnutrition on students' cognitive ability and mental health, I will now dwell on its impact on the pharmacological management on the health sector. Now imagine standing at the bedside of a patient who is struggling to recover from a seemingly routine surgery. Their body, weakened by malnutrition, is unable to heal. The medication that we've prescribed, once full of promises, now falter, and the patient's eyes, once bright with hope, now dim with despair. This is not just a hypothetical scenario, it's reality. Reality that we see every day in hospitals, clinics, and communities. Malnutrition is the silent thief of health. It steals away our ability to provide care. Today I will shed light on this hidden crisis. We will explore how malnutrition undermines our ability to provide effective care. Think about it. As healthcare professionals, we've seen it all, from the patient who is struggling to recover, to the elderly woman who is losing weight at an alarming rate, to the child who is stranded due to inadequate nutrition. Think about it. So when we prescribe medication, we assume that a well-nourished body will absorb, distribute, and metabolize them effectively. But what if that body is malnourished? Then the results are quite staggering. Medications become ineffective or even toxic. Wounds do not heal. Infections spread. Recovery slows. Malnutrition does not just affect the body, it also affects our ability to provide pharmacological care. This is a crisis that demands our attention. So what can we do? First, we must recognize malnutrition as a critical component of a patient's care. Secondly, we must include a comprehensive nutritional evaluation into every patient's assessment. Thirdly, we as doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and dietitians need to work together. Thirdly, we need to educate ourselves, our patients, our communities about the devastating impacts of malnutrition. In conclusion, malnutrition is not just a public health concern, it is also a pharmacological crisis. We can break this cycle. Let's join forces by stretching our ranks to ensure that everyone in our proximity receives the care that they deserve, care that nourishes both body and soul. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Indipila Mgaba. I'm the faculty coordinator of Natural Sciences. I'm the champion in this beautiful event, World Food Day, organized by my dean, Professor Modi. And you'll be surprised why I'm in your screen today. Actually, I'm working with great and smart minds to come and educate you, to come and give you awareness about the World Food Day and also how to manage and sustain your money. Hashtag stretch my rent.
World Food Day is celebrated annually on October 16th to raise awareness about global hunger, food security, and sustainable agriculture. It was established by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in 1945, shortly after World War II. The day serves as a global call to action for governments, organizations, and individuals to address malnutrition, hunger, and promote a sustainable global food system. Global hunger is a persistent issue, with millions of people worldwide suffering from malnutrition and food insecurity. World Food Day emphasizes the importance of sustainable agriculture, food security, and equitable access to nutritious food. It also raises awareness of ecological systems and biodiversity, which are critical for maintaining the balance needed for sustainable food production. The role of science in food production. Science plays a pivotal role in ensuring that food production can meet the demands of a growing population while preserving natural resources. Number 1. Soil health. Understanding soil ecosystems helps in growing healthy crops and avoiding overuse of fertilizers. Number 2. Water conservation. Efficient water management ensures that food production is sustainable even in water-scarce regions. Number 3. Sustainable agricultural practices. Practices like crop rotation and organic farming promote long-term soil fertility and reduces environmental damage. The hashtag Stretch My Rent initiative could symbolize stretching financial resources to promote sustainable food practices or support communities facing food insecurity. This initiative, potentially linked to World Food Day, might encourage actions like minimizing food waste, promoting environmental consciousness, or supporting charitable efforts to improve food access and security.
The role of science in a food-secure future. Scientific methods and principles are essential in addressing global food challenges. They help ensure stable food supplies, consistent production level regardless of external pressures like climate change. Improved nutritional quality, that is ensuring that the food produced is healthy and nutritious. Reduced food waste. From food to table, science minimizes loss. Enhanced food safety, that is preventing foodborne illness through monitoring. Climate resilience, helping farmers adapt to climate change. Policy supports, data-driven decisions lead to better food policies that address hunger and malnutrition. Science will continue to be a driving force behind innovations that secure the future of food for all.
university. It's a university of Walter Sisulu. That's not an error. Okay? Do you know Walter Sisulu? Okay? Walter Sisulu University is the University of Walter Sisulu. Who is Walter Sisulu? This is a man who said South Africa must change. The council of this university and the leadership are watching us. And they're going to say, so what? I told you, there are two things that you're going to ask them. One, we want to establish a center, a research center for food systems where all faculties participate. Two, this university is going to be the champion of blended learning. Blended learning. These students produced these videos using their cell phones. This is not something that was done by somebody who's a specialist. They used their cell phones and then they gave it to somebody like all the speakers who gave their presentations here. What does that mean? We can teach them in the classroom. We can teach them when they are away from the classroom. We can challenge them to present results in different kinds of examinations. Here is a group of students doing one assignment across the university, and they are presenting it in different ways, and everyone is right. Now, we need the experts of this university to tell us that everyone is a winner, but which one is the best video? Yongam, come forward and tell us, where do you come from?
Good morning to the WSU community at large, to the EDs who are present amongst us. My name is Ongezwa Sikodi. I am from the marketing department here in the Mthatha campus. First of all, can you please give a hand for the people who worked hard to make these videos? Thank you. Like Prof. Moti said, everyone is a winner, but there should only be one on top. So it was a very tough judging segment that I had with my team. It was very exciting to watch and actually learn from students about food security. I usually say layman's term because andiva kahle. So all these presentations that were done here, the videos, they started to make sense to me. And thank you for taking your time for doing these videos and actually informing us about food security from your perspective. Now, like I said, it was a very tough judging segment. So firstly, we have a tie between two faculties. So what we were looking at is if the theme of the day was captured, which is hashtag Thank you. So was the theme captured by the videos that were made? And I think zonke faculties that made videos did a very wonderful job of capturing a theme from perspectives the faculties there too. We had economics talking about inflation. We had, I didn't know you could talk about food security from a law perspective. Then Galui Vanamhlanje, which was a very interesting discussion. I know they had a podcast. So another thing that we were looking at is the ability of the video to capture audiences, not only just inside the venue, but outside. And then the creativity of the videos itself. So now we have a tie between two faculties, which is for the 4th place. So the first faculty had the shortest video, which was not really informative to the point that one would like to hear about food security from their perspective. While the other video had the longest video, but as the video went on, it failed to capture audiences. So the two faculties that had a tie in 4th place is the Faculty of Education and the Faculty of Law. One thing I want to emphasize about, Faculty of Education is that we did see images, which was a nice, it was a nice slideshow to hear, but we would have loved to engage with the people who made the video to speak to us so that we understand what they are talking about. Bavele sibabone, ne? And then for the third place, we have the Faculty of Economics and Financial Sciences. This faculty had a really captivating video in the beginning, and then it went, the energy was lost at some place, but it was very informative. I really liked hearing about what they were speaking about. And then we were left with the Faculty of Medicine and the Faculty of Natural Sciences. Now, there was only one complication for each of the faculty. The other faculty, which is the Faculty of Medicine, really presented a lot of information that was very informative. But as I was watching the audience, in the video, it was way too long. So at some point, abanye abantu baye bazona out and then they zoned back. But when I watched the 12 minutes, it was a really informative, to the point video that, yeah, it was very informative. And then with the Natural Sciences video, I loved the voiceover, personally, but then you could tell from the photos as it communicating with what is being said. So at some point I was lost with what is being said, focusing on the photos. But when I listened to what is being said, it really captured the theme. Their creativity was nice. It really captured, I think they also showcased the premises, which is one of the Vice Chancellor's objectives, buildings, which was very nice. We saw microscopes, we saw food, we saw everything. That was very nice. So in second place, we have the Faculty of Natural Sciences, making the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences the winner of the competition. Thank you very much.
At the end of the day, nipase nonke. Nipase nonke. Everyone did a good job, excellent job. And I can tell you now, the pass mark is not 30% at WUSU. The pass mark is not 50% at WUSU. The pass mark is 60% and above. We are setting a new tone in this university. Now, the other part of the competition is where 50 people, did you see them in that video at Miezo Spa? 50 people also had to go through reading, okay? Accessing material from whatever source, talking to people, and then coming up with something tangible, which is what you see in front of you here now. And so there, it was hard. We had to get a lot of judges, and I don't know where my judges are. If you don't mind, judges, could you please come forward so that we can make the announcement? I do know that one person is going to announce, but I need more than one person so that people can see who was judging these foods. And each food pack, remember we were judging it, you are given $100. How far can you stretch $100? Okay? This is a scientific exercise. Data will be collected. And I must also say the students who were doing the job of buying were selected by students. Okay, they were selected by the champions. So we need to find out, a psychologist needs to find out, how did you identify a vulnerable student and you make them participate in this? At the end of the day, what is its meaning scientifically? So here are the judges. The announcer is going to just mention the names of our judges and then tell us what happened and who are the winners. Now we're going to have a faculty that is number one in this context. We're excluding the videos. We are also going to have students who are winners. In each faculty, we're going to have number one. And then we are going to have an overall winner. in the whole University of Walter Sisulu. Walter Sisulu University, Mthatha campus, overall winner. This is someone who's going to be an amazing person. I don't know who they are. Okay, Alfred, summarize what you did and tell us.
Thank you very much, Prof. I ride on the protocols that have already been established. I think, as has been said earlier on, every student was given 100 Rand. So we wanted to see how best can you spend 100 Rand on something that is filling, something that is nutritious, and something that is affordable. Now, we've got 5 tables here. Table A, Table B, Table C, Table D, Table E. Each table is the presentation from the faculties. I will tell you which table is which faculty later on. So, what we were looking at, first of all, is that, did they manage to spend their 100 Rand? We had a leeway of 5 Rand. They were allowed to spend between 95 and 105 Rand. If they spent outside that range, they were penalized, right? Now, before you eat food, it must be appealing to the eye. That's the first thing that we looked at. Look at the food. Visually, does it make you want to taste it? Just by looking at it. Right. After that, we went into a bit more detail and looked at the 5 food groups. Is there veggies? Is there something with grains? Is there fruit? Something with protein? Right? Is there something from a dairy product? Right? Then we also looked at, okay, the combinations. I'm sure the scientific presentations clearly show that you cannot have all fruit and 2 grams of meat and all that. We're looking at that. I would like to say that our judgment was not a scientist or a nutritionist judgment. It was judgment from an informed layman. That was the way we were judging. I would like to thank the team of judges that I was working with. I'm going to introduce them. On my immediate right is Ms. Nolwandle Nongauza, popularly known as Sis Ocean. Then next to Sis Ocean is Dr. Tegiso Smith. Then there is Ms. Okutle Nkondwana. Then Mr. Pilasande Ngobo. And last but not least, Miss Mtengi. Right, as been alluded earlier on, we have individual scores as well as faculty scores. The faculty score is basically the summation of the individual scores. So I would like to, at this juncture, I would like to thank Dr. Mahoso and the directorate for generously donating very beautiful prizes, right? Now, all the students are winners because they all got pass marks, Prof. They all did well. But it's a competition, so there must be a winner, right? So, one thing that was a small negative to the whole process is that some faculties did not submit all the 10 food parcels. As you can see, there are some gaps there. That weighed down on their faculty score. Because if there's no submission, then that is a 0, right? So I will announce I'll start by announcing the faculty prizes, right? In 5th place is faculty E, that is table E, this table, right? One of the things that did them down were the gaps that you can see. In fourth place is table D, that's table D. Again, remember, the faculty score is a sum of the individual scores. Because of the gaps, they scored lowly. And in third place is faculty A, on my far right, right? And in second place is faculty C, right? And the best faculty is faculty B. I'll give the names of the faculty now, yes. And now, because you've been listening, I'll give you the names of the faculties. Faculty A, Natural Sciences. Faculty B, Education. So our winner is Faculty of Education. I think the teachers really taught us a lesson today. Right, Faculty C is Law, Humanities and Social Sciences. And Faculty D is Medical and Health Sciences. Faculty E is Economics and Finance. Right. Now, so the overall winner of the faculties is Faculty of Education.
We want the faculty representatives to come forward because they are all of them are going to be getting the awards, including the videos. Yeah. You guys are not even singing. Huh? You don't want to sing, Nitiniwe? Does anyone want to sing for them? No. Okay, you don't want to sing for them. You clap for them. That's enough. Okay. Okay, let's start from number 5. We said in 5th place we've got economic and finance. I said in 5th place is Faculty E, Economics and Finance. And in 4th place is Faculty D, Medicine and Health Sciences. In 3rd place, Faculty of Natural Sciences. And in 2nd place, Law, Humanities and Social Sciences.
And one more time, the teachers are the winners.
Come on. Tell us, why did you win? 20 seconds. Why did you win?
Why did I win? I did not work alone. I worked with my team and we researched everything. We looked at the criteria. And thank you to my team.
Thank you very much. Right. I said earlier on that everybody is a winner. Right? Now, unfortunately, a few students, for various reasons, did not manage to submit. Right? So, at least they got the grocery items. We are not going to ask them back. The grocery items are yours for the effort. Yes. At the end of the competition, we'll come back. You come and pick up your grocery items. Right. Now, there are packs for everyone who took their time and put together a food parcel. So, I'm just trying to open my document here quickly. If I call out your name, you come and get your parcel. I'll start in no specific order with the Faculty of Economics, right? Sorry, we are still learning the new names of the faculties. But if I say Faculty of Economics, you know which faculty I'm referring to. Boichumulo Nkosi, Siyabonga Mguni, Yolanda Mfihli, Mfifili, Likona Somtseu, Ayanda Pokolo, Olwetu Mvubu, Kwanele Mabaso, Azoli Lesgau, Zama Makatesi, Esihle Mtwazi. Right, those are from the first faculty. Thank you very much for taking time to research and present. Thank you so much. Right. In the Faculty of Economics and Finance, right? That was Faculty E. The winner is, guess, who's the winner? Your guess is right. Yolanda Mhlifili is the winner for the faculty. In addition to what they are holding, something else is coming. You may keep that for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yolanda, tell us, why did you win? What?
Oh, I think I won because I was comparing prices and I looked at how certain foods are better than others. I looked at how starch could be used to collaborate with vegetables and fruits. And I think I won because I looked at how fat can be used to support health. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. The next faculty I'm going to call upon is Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. The participants, in no particular order, from the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences are Pumelele Mhlope. Please come forward. Kampo Mashaba. Zizipo Khoto. Are they here? Okay. Kamva Fihlani. Viwe Nchonga. I'm sure you saw her in the video. Someleze Bavuma. Bandile Dlamini, Bongisisa Nombuya, and Sinovuyo Mpondo. Those are the participants from the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences.
Okay. We don't help everyone, so if the winner is not here, call someone who's here. Call someone who's here. If the winner, this the overall winner is not here, call someone who's not here. Yeah, that's punishment.
Now, I summarize the winner. I don't have instructions to go to who was.
No. Give the name of the person who's here as a winner.
Right. From Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, the winner is Viwe Nchonga. Ukono Viwe? Viwe, come forward.
I think I won because I didn't choose nice foods, but nutritious one. Yeah, that's why.
You know, doctors don't talk too much, guys. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. From the Faculty of Law, Humanities and Social Sciences, I have Inga Mfono, Esetu Tekeshe, Kamvam Bakata, Aspe Mandla Kanga, Kanyisani Twiliza, Latita Binga. Oh. Okay. Andile Mabusela. Kutlayo Kojas. Bonolo Ramela. And Afikile Magubeni. And the winner from that faculty is Ananda Butlungu. Ananda, get your parcel and tell us how did you do it.
Ananda. Okay, Ananda, tell us your story briefly.
Well, I don't
Why
have a
did you
story
win?
to tell, but all I can say is I think I won because I deserved to win.
Okay, next faculty.
Right, from the Faculty of Education, the number 1 faculty, the participants in no particular order: Kamane Yotani, Kona Yotani, Nkululi Rodobana, Sivuyise Ntabeni, Gumani Anelisa, Pelisa Tupa, Mamusa Pakis, Entry Mboto, Naledi Chapi, okay, Mandisa Sibia, and Tembelitle Jongiwe. Right, and the winner is Pelisa Tupa.
Now she's gonna speak like a teacher, right? Okay, let's see.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pelisa Tupa, and I think I won because I planned my shopping very smart, and I was too focused on quality more than quantity. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
And last but not least, the hosting faculty of Natural Sciences. Our participants are Elihle Mboi, Nikelwa Sopazi, Tando Lwake Mkwananzi, Isipile Mabona, Swapiwe Jako, Kanyise Tunyiswa, Yena Mchoko, and Lirato Malikane. I was reading the first and the last name. And the winner from the Faculty of Natural Science is Nikelwa Sopaz.
Tell us, what did you do?
I think I won because I was able to stretch my rent effectively, so that's all.
Okay, guys.
Now, as if that is not enough, we have one more winner. The biggest winner, right? The biggest winner. What we did is when we looked at the scores from the individual presentation, we chose the one with the highest score as the overall winner. And that overall winner is from that faculty again, Faculty of Education. Who is that? From the Faculty of Education. Tupa Pelisa, the overall winner. They say dynamite comes in small packages. That's what they mean.
Okay, Tupa. Now you're going to teach us something, not just teach us something. You told us how you won, right? Tell us, what is the take-home message? What should we take home as a message? And tell the students, tell the lecturers, tell the people in the world. Hold it.
Let me take this wonderful opportunity once again and greet you all. My name is Pelisa Topa. I'm from the Faculty of Education, the overall winner of the competition. Firstly, I think I won the overall competition because I belong to the winning faculty. Like I said, I won because I planned my shopping very carefully and very smart. I was so focused in quantity more than, I mean quality more than quantity. What I can say to everyone is that noba imali incinci kangakanani, you should try by all means to stretch it. I was given, we were given, all of us, a voucher of 100 Rand, and I was able to come up with the items that I came up with. I focused, I made sure that I have veggies, I have proteins, I have fruit, I have grains in my food basket. So all I can say is, no matter how much the amount of that money it seems, but there's a lot that you can get to it. Thank you.
So students, don't you wish you could be taught like this in class? Don't you? It's too hard. Being taught to go and read for 2 months, do research, present a video, listen to lecturers, and then you do something as an individual, and you pass as an individual, and the whole class passes. Can you see? If we use this approach of teaching, it's realistic, it's original, and it measures the main thing, we would increase our pass rate. The second thing about this is discipline. Discipline, discipline, discipline. So give a big round of applause to students who are committed to their faculties and they became disciplined. So what I'm going to do now, if you look at the program, we've got farmers who joined us. We also have people who gave us statements of intent to work with WSU after this event if we do a good job. So I'm going to change things around because students have just spoken. I want their mother now to speak to us in this room, speak to everyone at WSU who is not in this room, and speak to everyone in South Africa and the world about the meaning of today and the future direction so that we can go back and report to the Vice Chancellor. Dr. Irene Mohaso.
Molweni Futi, Dumelang. I bring very warm greetings from Student Affairs. And I want to start off by saying, as we celebrate the World Food Day, we acknowledge the challenges confronted by our own students and our own communities. And as Student Affairs Department, we want to affirm today our commitment to contribute in addressing food security challenges. Therefore, we are proposing the following vision statement. Can Gary come help? Okay, let me go back. Can we go back to the first slide, Gary? Okay, whilst Gary's coming, I want to affirm our vision as a department for the benefit of the university to empower a hunger-free campus by ensuring access to nutritious food for all students. That is our vision as a department. Yes, just a second. Can you do that? Go back, the first one. First one.
Yeah.
It's not moving. Okay. So I'll go left, right. Okay. Thank you, Gary. So our mission statement is that as Student Affairs Department, we are committed to addressing food insecurity among students by fostering a supportive community and promoting holistic well-being through sustainable and inclusive food security initiatives. You'll remember that in the beginning I said there's a lot of initiatives that were done. However, we are worried that they are done separately without necessarily collaborating with everybody. So we want to propose that let all stakeholders come on board. Aibo. Gary. The core values of the project: equity. We want to ensure equal access to nutritious food for all students. 2, compassion. We want to provide support and resources with empathy and understanding. 3, sustainability. We want to implement environmentally responsible and economically viable solutions, hence stretch the rent. Community would want to foster collaboration and social connections through food sharing initiatives. Education, we are in an education sector. We want to promote nutrition literacy, food awareness, and healthy habits. Our students had already shown us that. The goals: we want to reduce food insecurity among students by 20% within their first year. And we want to establish a food pantry and a meal assistance city. We want to create a campus community garden, as well as, of course, urban agriculture projects, because we acknowledge that not all the students are from rural communities. We've got those from urban areas. We also want to provide nutrition education and cooking workshops, meaning that our department, led by Professor Nguza, through their hospitality program, must teach us how to prepare healthy food. We also want to develop partnerships with local food banks and organizations, hence the issue of collaborations with both internal and external stakeholders. Objectives will include conducting a campus-wide food insecurity survey, meaning that we cannot implement a food security project without understanding what are the issues. So we can't have programs that are implemented for the sake of implementing. Prof. Nganyo will agree with me that we need evidence-based interventions based on the data that we will secure through the Department of Memokhatle, monitoring, as well as Ntate Ramapatagane, who will assist us with those surveys. And of course, contribution will be coming from various faculties for those specific surveys, and will share the findings and will implement those interventions. We want to establish a Walter Sisulu Food Security Task Force, which will include our own students and the SRC, faculties, as well as staff representatives. Meaning that from the gate, our security officers will be part of the project. Our mama who are cleaning, providing that support, will form part of the project because all the stakeholders are important. We need to secure funding and resources through grants, donations, and sponsorships. We acknowledge that most of the funders, when we went and knocked at their doors, most of them said, due to limited funding, we can't assist you. Therefore, it means we must come back home and say, as a university, how can we contribute to the project? We need to collaborate with dining services to offer affordable and healthy options, starting with our own cafeteria, Professor Modi. We need to ensure that they provide affordable and healthy food options. We need to negotiate with them. Other universities are already doing that. We also need to develop a food recovery program to reduce food waste. How often do we have activities and food is just left all over? Meaning that we need to start thinking about those and saying, if we've got 400 people coming, let's only cater for 400 and not have extra. The other extra would rather save it to support a needy student. Strategies that will be through food pantry and meal assistance program, campus community garden, nutrition education, I've spoken about it, partnerships, and then of course, awareness campaigns and events. Meaning that, Prof. Modi, for 2025, we are expecting more for this program. We are looking forward to having students presenting their research initiatives. So we are looking forward to a conference in 2025 through the support of the Research Directorate. Prof. Nganyo, you are here and I can see you saying we are going to support that conference. What will be the indicators of success for what we are proposing? A decrease in food insecurity rates among students. Our researchers working with students must evaluate that. Increase in student participation in food security initiatives. Today we are supposed to have only 50. In 2025, we're looking forward to having extra, more than 100 students raising their hands to participate. We also need positive feedback from students, faculty, and staff, meaning that even after this initiative, the office of Dr. Mbodila must already conduct a survey to get feedback from our participants. And of course, successful partnerships that we'll have with local organizations and of course, international organizations. And sustainable funding models that we'll have will indicate that our project is a success. Budget allocation, this is the proposal. For the food pantry and meal assistance, we are allocating 30% of the budget. For campus community gardens, we are allocating 20%, of course, working with the Faculty of Natural Sciences as custodians. Nutrition, education, and cooking workshops, we have allocated 15%. For the food recovery program, we are allocating 15%. Partnerships and awareness programs, we have allocated 10%. And of course, we need administrators who will assist us with this project, it's 10%. If you calculate, it will give you 100%. In conclusion, I argue that there is no way we can succeed with this project without collaboration of all the stakeholders in the university and externally. And we are really grateful for the success of this event. And Prof. Modi and the team, all presenters, we are really grateful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that support coming from a member of the executive. Now we've come to the end before announcements about what is going to happen as we leave. One of the things that we are trying to achieve is partnerships. Already, we've got people who are interested to work with us. In government, we've got Dr. Dar as the Department of Rural Development and Agrarian Reform. Basically, you can just say it's the Department of Agriculture in this district where we are located. So we are at OR Tambo. We are already working with them. And we reach out to the farmers in working with them. For example, we've already started working with the farmers of Bazia, and our aim is to make them part of the research and teaching at WSU. We also have the Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs, and Tourism, who are assisting us in other short learning programs. But further, we've got non-government organizations who gave us a statement of intent to work with us. We've got the Mpondoland Farmers Organization that is led by the king there. They are waiting for us to move forward, especially waiting for us to start establishing a Department of Agriculture at WSU so that they can work with us. And lastly, SA Harvest is one of the organizations that is working very hard in the area of food security. The Chief Executive Officer also said to me, all they can give us is a statement of intent, but they are waiting for us to walk the talk. We have farmers who came here, and you guys must watch out. I want these farmers to come forward, and they are big people. Farmers who just came to say what did they see, 1 minute each as we close. One of them is Minentle Photo, and the other one is Mzimasi Jalisa. They come from Ukhanyo Development Farmers. All I want from them, can you see these are farmers? I want them to tell us, they must share 1 minute each. Who are you? Where did you study? And now you are a farmer. What is the word that you're giving to our students as we close this program? That's why I brought both of them here.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mihle Foto. Not Minentle. I am okay. I am a farmer, an emerging farmer actually. Disaqala mna. Oyena mfama ola oyena mfama mkhulu lapha eCangu kwami. Ndiqeshwe eUkhanyo Farmer Development, whereby we are a youth-led organization which assists farmers in commercializing. So into siyenzayo sincedisa ama-farmer who are small-scale farmers, mhlawumbe unegadi okanye une-hectare encinci. Siyakuncedisa ke ukhule ube a big farmer, which is a commercial farmer. How do we help you? We assist you from land preparation until marketing, which is siyakuncedisa ekuqaleni uba ulungise umhlaba, uplante, uvune, uthengise. So ndime apha phambi kwenu ndinguMihle Foto, ndiyi-graduate, agricultural graduate, who assists farmers in commercializing. Lona umfama lapha ecangkwam kwam ke ngomnye wamafama wethu aphantsi Ukhanyo Farmer Development. Ngoyena mntu ke ozonichazela kakuhle uba wenzani as umfama and nje beme apha ufike njani kule ndawo ame kuyo. Enkosi.
Thank you, Mihle. Imfitshane le. Okay, thank you. Molweni. Tena dinilele nje. Molweni. Mangathi kuthetha umuntu omtsha nilale. My name is Umzimasi Jalisa. I'm from eBazia, as Prof has said that they are Tula Bazia Sungol. My claim name is Umqwati. Akhona amaqwati abendlini. I'm a farmer and I'm a young person. Anduzongixelela age yami kodwa above 30. I've studied farming at UKZN, University of KwaZulu-Natal, xolweni bandanishiye Eastern Cape. But I came back in 2017 when the ndaqala business of farming. It was not easy, guys. Kanibona umuntu omtsha esiya kwi-farming. It pains me because I know the pain that the farmer will go through up until level that I'm in. But in summary, from 2017 up until now, JJ Farming, if you have time, you can search with JJ Farming on Facebook. You will see that we're one of the best producers of cabbage. At the moment, it's only us who have cabbage up in Tata. If umanege Monti, nase Kokstad. So a competition, a price in Tlegawamba pe town. When you sing a cabbage, know that isuka ku JJ Farming in Bazia. How we started, disebenze only for 2 years as an internship, under an internship, under a sugarcane company in KZN, ndabuya and started a business. Eastern Cape, uyanduzuxoka. Guys, imali yoqala business ikhona. Just that you have to place yourself in terms of paperwork that is needed. Apply for a funding, easy as a miracle. Obviously, before you apply funding, you have to make sure that you've started. Start from something, and be happy kakhulu boni competition yokutya okuthengiswayo. I would love to see competition. Senikyalo kutya kuvunwe kuzobekwa apha. Ningathengi oku sekupasisiwe kwazobekwa kokwethu oku kuproducewa city oku. So all in all, JJ is big. About how big igenza unenzela nje example cabbage every 3 weeks we planting 25,000 wezityalo. Indlela eseyiperforma ngayo or level that we producing at okanye perfection, we harvesting about 18,000 to 20,000 off la 25,000 besimtyalile. Asithengise ngala price niyibona Spar, ningabona uSpice ithi 35 rand. On farm level, that's not the price. At the moment, we're selling at 15 rands per igaqa. Ningazicofa calculator, please. Yimali inhle, but what I want to say, guys, is if future is bright, Eastern Cape inomhlaba inemilambo emikhulu. That's what brought me back from KZN. Ndabuya ndazapha basenawo umhlaba KZN. Usebantwini abamhlophe. If ungumntu omnyama ufuna uqala into farming in the Eastern Cape, it's an opportunity for you. Kakhulu ungumntu omtsha, you still have time to make mistakes. Uwe uphinde uvuke. I promise you, kwi-farming uzawa uphinde uvuke. It's given. Uzawa uphinde uvuke, but I think experience is shaping and obviously nemfundo enizayifumana ibalekile, but ke kakhulu on the ground experience into ebalayo. Enkosi kakhulu.
Okay, that has brought us to the end of the program. and everyone is bored, right? No! Okay, so what was the theme? United Nations has got their theme, right? Which is right to foods for a better life and a better future. Presentations got into those details. The theme that is nowhere else in the world to be found is the WSU World Food Day 2024 theme. So I would like everyone to join me in saying, as I get to 1, I'm going to count from 3. As I get to 1, we need to say the WSU theme, which is hashtag, correct me, hashtag stretch my rent, okay? 3, 2, 1, hashtag stretch my rent. Thank you. I would like the speakers and our VIPs to just remain where you're seated. Someone needs to assist me with respect to the students or the rest of us. Oguhle.